10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
More that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place. All right, my friends, welcome. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Welcome to a late live at 5 with Jumpstart Mastery. I'm sorry we're getting started a little late today. I'm Andy Prisco with Jumpstart Mastery, and we're here to discuss a very timely topic. Why are people so reactive right now? It seems to be a growing phenomena. We're involved in a couple of significant events that are showing up on the news where systems are encountering problems with reactivity, let's say. Um, so I would like to believe that we have a credible voice on this topic. So I'm glad we're going to talk about it today. Welcome all. On Tuesdays, we discuss topics that apply to everyday life through a crisis de-escalation lens. And on Thursdays, our lives at the Jumpstart Mastery Network, which is jumpstartmastery.com, are oriented toward professionals who have duties and responsibilities to respond to the presentation of crisis in human beings, whether that be serious mental illness, substance use, aggression, and people who are working with particular groups of people, people living with homelessness, people living with disabilities, people who are working with incarcerated youth or adults. The network is filled with a number of professionals who need that kind of support. On Tuesdays, we offer ideas, tips, things to do for everyday people. What's your observation been? Um, why do you think people are so reactive today? Um, presenting aggression, presenting violence, presenting in youth what we would describe as behaviors of concern. This may show up as reactive opposition, reactive defiance, people immediately attributing um, motivation. You know, you ask a simple question and someone thinks you're asking about something much deeper than, hey, what do you want on this sandwich? What do you mean? What do you ask me what I want on this sandwich? Why wouldn't you think I wouldn't want that on my sandwich? People are terribly on edge. When people feel like they don't have autonomy, this this is a natural trigger to high sensitivity or emotional arousal. Worse, when people are walking around living in fear of this all the time. Our algorithms are, um, let's say, focusing a great deal on things that arouse the limbic system. Our streams are populated with video footage and advertisements that stimulate these predispositions that human beings naturally have to crisis. What might those be? Feeling like I don't have autonomy is fundamental, that I'm out of control of my circumstances, that I have no agency. Um, one of the fundamental causes of anger that we discovered in healthcare systems that serve adult people in incarceration is that feeling at the mercy of an uncaring system was a fundamental cause of aggression. What are some other ones that you might describe similarly, or we might describe similarly? Let's say basic entitlements to which other people hold the keys. getting access to certain things that we need, but someone else has control over them. If you're working in a job, and and the employer has access controls to certain entitlements, when breaks are, when lunch is. These are things that right now can precipitate behavioral crisis in people when they are so inclined to the notion that they're not in control of their agency, not in control of their life, not in control of their circumstances, or can't influence them. What are the times that we might consider some ideas, practices on how to improve our resilience? Well, it would not be the time where you're experiencing the crisis. The time to practice getting a sense of autonomy is not when you need the autonomy. The practice for that is between the incidents where you feel as though your autonomy is being questioned. Does someone saying that I have no agency or autonomy mean that I don't? Why do I have to believe someone's suggestion that I don't have autonomy, that I don't have agency, that I don't have purpose? And even if they make the suggestion, why do I have to do anything about it? Why? How about the suggestion that I don't have autonomy rolls by? I had a conversation with someone not long ago where, in their departure from their apartment, there was fear and worry about the security deposit. And the person in question, immediately in their questions to the property manager, suggested that they, as a tenant, had no autonomy, no rights, and they had to ask based on the goodwill of the property manager to get their deposit back. I said, I asked if there was a lease. This person said there was. I said, are the terms of paying your security deposit back described in the lease? They were. Was a time frame of when the security deposit was going to be returned be expressed in the lease? It was. The next question I asked to the person is, if this is expressed in the lease, I'm wondering why you would have any fear. I'm not saying that having fear isn't unreasonable. I just asked. I'm wondering why there's fear. And I'm wondering why that's driving how you communicate. What if the communication to the property manager were something like this? Hey, I've reviewed our lease. It seems rather clear that the property manager is responsible to return the security deposit within 30 days. We are exiting the property on this day. We're looking forward to the return of our deposit by this day. Have a good day. There's no need to ask the property manager anything. If you have fear that you want to address, you don't have to empower someone else to be the person to decide if the fear is worthy or not. You can be the one that sets the discourse to say, hey, sounds like and looks like I'm entitled to my security deposit in 30 days. Look forward to your confirmation of when the check is sent. Thank you. There's no need to empower someone else. We have conditioned people into surrendering their agency and their autonomy because of fear. Tony Blauer is a wonderful person to listen to on this topic, where the circuitry, understanding how fear works, resolves an extraordinary number of experiences out in the world. When we better understand and notice what instigates reaction in us, we have an opportunity to deprive it of its power when it comes later. So the time to practice getting better at reducing reactivity is between occurrences when we might be reactive. Now, the other side of that coin is when someone else is presenting reactive behavior to me, and it's not my intention for them to be reactive at all. I'm sure you've experienced that. I know I have, where asking a simple question results in a belief that my motivation to the question has a deeper meaning than the question itself. Do you want milk in your coffee or not? Um, when I witness that today, I no longer have a sense of responsibility in what I'm witnessing. I have curiosity. There's a difference between those two. Even though this person's reactivity is sending out signals that are pushing buttons in my own nervous system to possibly animate or escalate because of risk, I now no longer immediately act upon those impulses. I instead feel the impulse, but I'm committed to doing something different. What is that? Asking more questions, showing curiosity. Wow, I hey, I looks like my question about do you want your coffee black or with milk has resulted in you feeling frustrated. Can you help me understand what you were experiencing when I asked you that question so I can better understand what I'm seeing here, because it was not my intention to be a source of difficulty for you. Curiosity is Kwame Christian, what does he call it? Compassionate curiosity. Another great guy to listen to when talking about this notion of what to do, what to embody when someone else's behavior of concern is stimulating my own nervous system. I think one of the patterns that we can count on occurring rather frequently is that if somebody isn't committed in an interaction to curiosity, reaction will beget reaction. One person's reaction, if someone is not committed to curiosity, will instigate someone else's reaction. And what we consequently see is conflict, argument, discord. So, what are the takeaways from this discussion? Why are people so reactive right now? It would appear as though there's a lot of messaging going out that we don't have control over our circumstances at all. And to some degree, there's truth in that. There's truth in the idea that we are not in control of everything. You may have to square with that. There are some influencers who would lead one to believe that everything is subject to your influence and the world is your slave if you have the right attitude. I'm not a proponent of that. I've never seen that work in places where let's say people can wind up in trouble with the justice system because of that kind of thinking. This kind of you're in control of your own fate with all things mentality. I've never seen that really work. I've seen some people make some money doing that. I don't know how satisfying their lives are. And a lot of them, quite frankly, wind up jammed with transgressing ethical boundaries because of that. There is some truth to the idea that we are not in control of everything. And I have to get rid of that phone call, which is interrupting us. So the next question then becomes, what else can we do? Between occurrences of reactivity, ask yourself the questions of why the presentation of certain behaviors wants to instigate your arousal. Do you have vulnerabilities that are worth noticing and working on and accounting for them, and to give yourself some grace in the ongoing journey to make improvements on them? People reacting today, like it's possible. People reacting to something I say or do today, getting to a place where that does not move my needle has been a journey of empowerment. It's been a rewarding experience. And I'm certainly not done. But the more that we work on ourselves and our own regulation to situations that were normally reactionary for us, enable us to be present during someone else's reactivity. And if we stay committed to curiosity as one of the two people that has to, you actually reduce their own reactivity. So when the intervention is guided by the principle of reducing the likelihood of future emergencies, you make the world a better place. I hope this conversation wasn't too general or philosophical. But if you're experiencing frustration due to a belief that you're not in control of everything, I would ask you to square with a couple of core ideas. Number one, we're not in control of everything. Number two, we're in control of a lot more than we think we are. And if we even start with acting as if we're in control of our own agency and autonomy, even if we don't feel it, you'll start changing your experience of everyday life, where you're walking away from situations like a property manager where you thought you were going to be victimized when there's a lease. You'll walk away from that experience feeling far more empowered than disempowered. And that is a transformative experience for many people, myself included. All the best to all of you. Take good care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Show yourself grace. And be committed to curiosity and being the one in an interaction where someone may be reactive to being curious, and the world will be a better place as a result. Take good care.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
More that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place.